This is a SAM install video. I'll walk you through installing SAM, setting up certificates and a certificate server on this platform, as well as installing SAC, which is the middleware that allows connectivity to SAM for enrolling domain users. So we are going to set this up as an administrator, and the administrator functioning as a help desk engineer, and also we'll demonstrate what an end user experience would be on a client machine. So just a few housekeeping items before configuring this server. We need to set up Microsoft Active Directory, make sure it's installed and the domain configured. We also need to make sure we have the Microsoft services, certificate services, and web enrollment configured. And more importantly, make sure you have the SAM install package on the server as well. So as far as the prerequisites, the Active Directory and the certificate services, that's done here. You'd click on Add Roles and Features. You go through these menu options, and I will just show you where this and how that's being configured on this server. So in this example, we do have the Active Directory certificate services installed. So 2 out of 6, and the 2 that have been installed here, the Certificate Authority, the Certificate Authority web enrollment, and I'll close that or minimize that, and then show you that the Active Directory domain service is installed. We also are running this server as a DNS server for purposes of this demo. All right, so I'll X out of that. One more item here is we have users added so that we could walk you through what the user experience would be like. And in this case, I've added SmartCard User 1, SmartCard User 2, and SmartCard User 3. And we'll utilize these users to function as end users in this case. All right. So I'll close that. And what I'll start with here is setting up the certificate authority. In order to do that, I'll need to go to the control panel. So I'll go here, go to the control panel. Then I'll go to the administrative tools. And then I'll click on certificate authority. There's also another way we could do this. I'll show you once we go through this on how to do that. So I'm here, so I'll need to expand the domain here, and that in this case we're using the training CA as a certificate authority, and we're going to create templates. So I'll go to the certificate templates, and then I will let that open. Okay, in this case I will right click and select manage. And this is where I'm going to create the templates, and I'm going to duplicate templates here that we'll use for the user profiles that I was referring to earlier. So I will go and select SmartCard User, and I'll right click here and duplicate template. Here, what I will do, I'll click on the compatibility tab. Make some adjustments here, and what I'll need to be adjusting here are the certificate authority. We are using Windows Server 2012. I'll just click OK here, and then the certificate recipient. We do have a Windows 7 machine, a client, and a server 2008 are released to as the options here. Okay, and I'll just click OK. All right. I'll go to the General tab, and I will name this. And for this template, I'm going to call it Smart. I'll call it Help Desk. Okay. This will serve as our admin, and then leave those settings as they are. and then I'll move over to the security tab, and I will want this to allow enroll authenticated users. And then in the issuance requirements tab, which is right here, I'll need to make sure that select this is the number of authorized signatures and leave that as 1. And then in the application policy down below here, I want to change that to certificate, excuse me, I meant this application policy. I need to set that to certificate request agent. And then I'll move over to the subject name tab. I want to make sure that I verify that we have the build from this Active Directory checked. This radio button here, and then as far as the fully distinguished name is selected there as well, and then to check to include the make sure we have the check mark on the email name, and also user principal name, UPN name. Okay, then I'll click OK here. So we've created a template here. Then I'll go back and redo the same. So I'll come here, right click on the smart card user, duplicate template. And what I'm doing here now, I am creating a template for the end user. So again, certificate authority, Windows Server Release 2, 2012 Release 2, the recipient, select Windows 7 there. And then in the General tab here, I'll call this Smart Card User. All right. And then I'll click on the Security tab here. I'll enroll. I'll select the enroll for authenticated users here to allow that, and then I'll move over to the certificate templates folder. Once I have verified that everything else looks good here. Okay, click OK. So we have created 2 templates. So we have the Smart Card user, and we also have the Smart Card help desk. So the Smart Card help desk will be, for example, the administrator or the support engineer or the systems engineer that will be helping enroll domain users. Okay. So the next step here now is to request for the certificate templates to be issued. So I'll come to the certificate templates, right click, and then I'll go to the select new, then certificate template issue. I'll select that, and the new window opens to enable the certificate templates. So we want to select the enrollment agent and the 2 certificate templates that we just created, and they are and you use the control button to select this. So select the Smart Card user help desk and the Smart Card user, right? Then I'll just click OK. Okay, so that's complete. The next step now is to configure the CA server with certificates to enroll and validate domain users. So we already logged on to this server. So we're going to go to the Start menu. And I'll go to Desktop here. Actually, I'll just hit the Run. And then we are going to issue an enrollment agent certificate for the administrator who enrolls on behalf of other domain users. So we'll go in this window. We'll then select File, Add, and Remove Snap-in, and we are going to select the certificates. Select Add. In this dialog window, you select My User Account. Again, this is for the administrator account. And then we'll also go back and select certificate one more time, and we'll select for computer account, and then select Next, and then make sure we have the local computer, and this is this computer that we have this console running, and I will click Finish, and I will click OK. Okay, so we do have two certificates here, one for the current user and one for the local computer. So I'll start with the current user. So what I'll do here, I'll go to the personal. And I'm going to request a new certificate. We have the domain, Active Directory enrollment policy. I'll have select Next. And here, I'm going to select the enrollment agent and the smart card user that I just created. So this right here. And remember, it's the user that we are going to select here. Select that smart card user. And then I will click Enroll. Okay, that's finished. Then click on Finish. And then I will go to the certificates for local computer, and I will do the same thing. I'll right click on the personal, and I'll also request a certificate here. Select Next. Select Next. And here I will be selecting for the domain controller. The domain controller authentication and the Kerberos authentication, and then I will enroll. Those did complete successfully, and then I'll click Finish, and yeah, and I could close this. I'll save it. I'll just call it SLAM console. Okay. Now, what we have done, we have set up the certificate authority for smart card users so that administrator and end users can enroll. We've also issued an enrollment agent for certificates for the administrator who enrolls on behalf of other domain users. The next step, now that we have completed the setup for the certificate authority, is we are going to install SAC. And what SAC does, like I mentioned earlier, is it's a middleware that allows connectivity and interaction with the with SAP. So I do have the SAC installation package here, so I'll click on that and let this run. Okay, so let that installation run. Okay, I'll click Next. Next. Accept the license agreement. Click Next. Click Next. I will use the default settings here. There are also custom options. At this stage, we do not need to make any custom changes, but through a professional services, if there are any, if there's customization needed, they'll walk you through all the custom capabilities that we can add to the SAM. One being including the page layout, for example, the colors, if you want your company domain and so on. But for this exercise, we're just going to go through with the default settings. So I'll let the SAC install. Okay, so just click finish. So SAC, like I mentioned, is a middleware that allows you to connect to SAM, as well as it does allow you to look at the card content or token content. As far as the readers, you could use the reader on your machine, or we could provide the Gemalto reader that allows you to insert a smart card and have visibility to that. So once SAC is installed, we do have this icon on the bottom right that that shows the SAC installation is completed. So in this case, I'll set it up so it can show it remains available, or at least not hidden in the bottom taskbar here. So once SAC is installed, you have the icon on the bottom right that would use to launch the client. What SAC allows you to do, it allows you to manage the certificate-based authenticators, including the e-token, USB tokens, in this example, the Gemalto ID Prime, 8030 smart cards, and software-based devices. So it also ensures you have complete support for all currently deployed e-tokens. And more importantly, it does link the Gemalto SafeNet certificate-based hardware authenticators. And it also gives you full local administrative control and support for multiple security applications, such as digital signing, two-factor authentication, and disk encryption. So the purpose of SAC in this example is to really show you, as an administrator, that you could also enroll domain users and see the content, in this case, the tokens and any certificates on that smart card. So now that we are done with the SAC install, we'll move over and start the SAM installation. So the SAM installation, what I've done here, I've copied the folder that contains the installer on this server. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed with that installation here. So I'll click on the SAM installer. The welcome screen comes on. I'll just click next. You're prompted that may require restart, so I'll just click OK here and let that run. Okay, click next. So click next, accept the license agreement. Click next. And here we are setting this SAM on this machine as the primary SAM. If we do need to set up secondary, what we recommend is start with the primary and then The secondary SAM, which will be for high availability capabilities, you'd copy the configurations from the primary. So in that case, you'll be prompted, if you selected the secondary, where the configuration files exist. So then you could just copy those over. That makes really a seamless integration when setting up a high availability environment. And then if you do have an external portals where you have SAM, a remote environment, for example, then you'd select SAM and go through the process of entering the portals and where it resides. Okay, so I'll click next here. We did select the primary SAM. So the next option is we're doing certificate-based authentication. So I'll click next there. Then next, and then if you prompt me to verify my selection, then I'll just click install. So once this installation is completed, we'll have the SAM external portals and the SAM update agent will be installed. The server may require that we do a reboot. We'll see if we are prompted for that. And again, the SAM configuration wizard will automatically start, and then we'll proceed with the installation and complete this. So it's installing the SAM update agent and downloading updates. And this prompt here is probably because it needed me to restart. So we will restart just to make sure we have all the configurations in. So I'll continue with this the SafeNet Authentication Manager Configuration Settings Wizard. So I'll click next. So we would select external users. The reason being here is if we have users, in this case on the Active Directory, this is where we would allow SAM to connect to Active Directory. And if it's a standalone user store, so in this case it does create a partition where it stores all the user information on the server. So we'll leave it as it is right now with the external user store, and click next. And then so you do have multiple options here. Where do your users reside? In this case, we have a Microsoft Active Directory. You do have LDAP, and we do have the various options here: Open LDAP, Microsoft Remote Active Directory, IBM, Lotus, Domino, and so on, Tivoli. We also, if you have a Microsoft SQL where you have all your users, you'd be able to grab those user profiles from there. But in this case, we're using Microsoft Active Directory, so I'll leave that selection. Domain was automatically detected, so no changes here. As far as the data storage, so we have two options here. One, you'd want the data. As far as data storage, we have two options. We have AD LDS, the Lightweight Directory Service Protocol, or the Active Directory. What the AD LDS does, it creates an instance on the local computer. Whereas the Microsoft Active Directory, that creates a partition in the Active Directory. This option is preferred for configuring when you have SAM in high availability setup, as all configuration settings are transferred easily. So for this example, we are going to select the AD LDS. And as far as the SafeNet Authentication Manager, it creates a new AD LDS instance on the local machine. So we'll leave it that radio button checked there. In the service account, I will create a password here. This is a password for the administrator. I'll click next. And SAM does allow you to create security keys and have those keys stored externally. And in this case, we would use a Gemalto HSM. And what it would do is that the keys will then be stored in that hardware. But we are not doing that here, but this option is available where you purchase a HSM and we'd store and use that to store the security keys. So I'll click next here. And let that installation proceed. So the AD LDS installation will run. When all features are installed and configured, we'll get a message showing that SAM has been successfully installed. So that balloon keeps showing. I think once we're done here, we've got this SafeNet Authentication Manager configuration process completed successfully. Click next, and I'll click finish. At this point, I want to do a restart and a graceful restart, so we have all the configuration settings set. All right. So we'd want all the configurations settings that we've put in place to take effect. So the restart allows that to happen. Packages have been installed successfully. In order to do that, I'll go to the apps. And here you'll see a list of all the SAM features and tools that have been installed. So you have the configuration manager, you have the manual update, you have the policy management as well, the portal configuration tool, we have the SafeNet authentication client. We installed this earlier, and the authentication client tools. The next step now is to access the SAM portal. So in order to do that, I'll go into the browser here and enter the URL for it. Okay, so wait for that to open here. So we are in the SAM management portal. This is where to enroll users. So we'll click on the enroll here. Wait for that to populate, refresh, and we could search for users that are on the platform. Remember we did create some user smart card user 1 and so on. So I'll do a search here real quick, see that they're listed. Okay, so we do have those users here. So smart card user 1 and 2 and 3. No token assignments have been made yet. Okay, so before we proceed with making any token assignments, we would like to configure SAM for token enrollments. In order to do that, we'll need to configure the certificate authority connector. And in order to do that, we'll need to launch the token policy object editor, the TPO editor. So from the Microsoft Start window, we'll go here, and then we'll go to the menu options that I showed earlier. So I'll go here, and we'll go to the policy management. Okay, so that opens. So the Active Directory users and computer snapping is displayed. We'd want to right click on the domain and select properties. Okay, then we would go to the token policy and click open. So what the token policy object does, and in this case the token policy here, by default you have a policy that's already defined. You could create policies and parameters associated with each token, e.g. one for sending email notifications when a token is generated, and you could create different tokens and again policies here for different business units. So we are going to use the default policy, so I'll select that and click edit. And we would select the, let me maximize that a little bit. Okay, I'll go to the connector settings, and we are going to use the Microsoft CA connector. We do have P12 if we need to import certificates from an external source, either the comma separated values or however you have those tokens stored, but we are going to use the Microsoft CA. So I will right click on the Microsoft CA, select properties, and then I'll define these policy settings and I'll ensure that it's enabled here. Okay, and then in the definitions, I'll click that to define this policy settings, and then I will want to create a new request. And in order to do that, I will need to click on that and right click on the connector for Microsoft CA, and then I want to create a new request. I'll name this new request and say smart card user request. And then as far as the CA name, I'll leave that as a training CA. The type, I'll select the enterprise. And then the Windows version here, I'll select the server 2008 to 2012. And this is for the smart card logon certificate usage, so I will select that. And then remember, we did create the templates. The templates that we created, one is for the smart card user help desk, and we also have smart card for the end user. So I'll start here by selecting the smart card help desk, and then this is the template for the smart card end users. And again, these are the templates for those. Okay, and then I will click OK once I verify that everything looks good there. In the connector policy settings, after clicking OK, there are various settings available here that we could view. We have the Microsoft CA information. We do have that set for training CA. The certificate usage is smart card logon. Here we could publish the CRL. So I'll just click define this policy and hit enabled. Click OK. If we do need to store in the local computer the certificate, you can enable that here as well. We do have a host of various options available here. So for now, I'll leave it as it is and move on to the next step. And then I'll click OK again here. In the enrollment settings, here, I'll go to the general properties, and I would want to set the maximum number of active tokens by user. I can define that here by going to properties, enabling the setting, and then setting that, for example, no more than 6 active tokens. Okay, so I'll just click and select 6 and click OK. And then I want to leave the initialized token on each enrollment set to not defined, which is this right here. What that means, and we would look at the initialization process later, but I want to leave that not defined for now. What that does, it just formats the card every time, so we don't want to do that. So I want to move on to the verify the password must be changed on the fast logon. So that's this option here. Password must be changed on fast logon. So I'll click properties here, select that, and enable that. So every time the token is utilized for the first time, then the password needs to be changed. That's a policy enforcement that I'm applying here. So I'll click OK. And then we do have this option here, which is ignore connector incompatibility during enrollment. By enabling this, it allows for token enrollment to complete, even if we have a connector fail. For example, if we have a legacy Microsoft CA or OTP connectors, or some users have Pro tokens, we would want that enrollment to complete even if there are incompatibility issues. So in order to do that, I'll enable this by, again, right-click, enable, and click OK. Okay. And then a few other settings here, the enable SafeNet virtual token creation. What this allows you to do is, for example, if an end user has lost their token or does not have access to their token, or for some reason maybe they forgot it at home. I don't want to say it's lost, but in this instance they just don't physically have it. You are able to create a virtual token, and in order for that to happen, you need to enable that option here. So I'll enable that here as well, and I'll click OK. And then I will set the require user to complete authentication questionnaire. These are just safeguards that we're enabling here, so that in the event that the token is being utilized, we are creating as many safeguards as possible to make sure it's being used by the rightful owner. Okay. Nothing else needs to change here. I'll just click apply and OK for those changes to take effect. Okay, and click OK one more time here. and click OK. So we do have the connector settings created. With the token policies settings taking effect, and next step now is to enroll a token to a user. So I'm back on the SafeNet Authentication Manager portal, and I am going to search for a user, and I'll search by username. So I'll select username there, then type smart, at least the first 4 letters of the users, and we'll do a search here. Okay, so I will select the first user here. It's user 1, and I would like to enroll a token. So I will click on enroll, and then I will insert the smart card that I would like to assign a token. All right, so that's already inserted. Keep in mind with this enrollment, it will initialize the card. What that means is that it will erase all the data on the card. And one of the customization enrollment options here is definitely the connectors options. We remember we did create a connector for the Microsoft CA, so we'll leave that as it is. And then I'll click Run to initialize and assign a token to the card for that user. Okay, we'll let that run. Okay, so now that's successfully completed. I'll click Done. If we go back to, it will take us back to the user page, or in this case, page that shows all the list of users. And in this case, you see the smart card user 1 has a token assigned, and that's enabled. So the next step now is to log in as an end user on the client machine using this smart card. All right, so in order to do that, I will change screens so that we could see that user experience. So I'm on the client machine now, and I'm going to log in as the smart card user 1. Okay. Okay, so I've logged in on the client machine, and what I'd like to do is I would go to the SAM portal. So as an end user, you've got a smart card. This has been enrolled for you by the help desk, and you'd like to look at the various options available to you. So in order to do that, you'll go to you open up your browser, and I would open the portal page for SAM for end users. So I just need to get rid of this. It's the first time I'm logging in here, so you have all these options here. So I'll just click here. Okay, and I'm logging in as a smart card user 1. So as a smart card user, end user, I do have all these options available. Nothing fancy as far as the portal is concerned, but this can be customized to an end user experience. And what you have here is the different options that are available for the end user. You can unlock the token, reset the token password, update the token content, temporarily disable it. We talked about creating a virtual temporary token. You could do that as an end user because that option is now available to you. And if I need to enroll a new smart card, I'll be able to do that here as well, or enroll a new smart SafeNet virtual token. The download links, you're able to install the client if those permissions or the admin rights are available to you. So you just click on this, and this dialog window will populate, and it will install the SAM client, in this case SAC, that's associated with the SAM package. So if there are licenses that are available, that will be enabled here as well. It comes as part of this client that's embedded. So I'll click run, and go through the options here. Select accept, and accept one more time, and install. It may require that I do a restart. If that's necessary, then we will do that restart. But in this case, just like I expected, I don't have the sufficient rights as a user on this machine to do any installations. So I'll have to log in as an administrator in this case to complete that installation. But for purposes of this example, you do have the ability to download the client from this portal. So I'll go back to the main menu here, and I'll close this for now. So back to the SafeNet Authentication Manager portal. I did remove the token associated with Smart Card User 1, and I want to use this exercise to show how an end user would enroll a token for themselves if they receive a card. So I want to show an end user experience, and in order to do that, I'll move to a different screen, and in this case, log in as an end user. So here, I'm already logged in as an end user. So you see right here, I'm Smart Card User 1. So what I'll do, I'll go to the portal page. Open up a browser and then go to the SAM portal. So I'll just go to the portal associated with SAM. Okay, it's right here. It will prompt me to log in, so I'm going to log in. And then I'll do password. Enter the password here. Okay, so different set of menu options if you're not already enrolled. So I would like to enroll a new token. So in order to do that, I would need to. So in order to enroll my smart card or USB token, I need to verify, one, that my smart card reader is connected, or if I'm using the one on my machine, that my card's inserted. So I've done that. So in this case, I want to enroll a new smart card. I'll click on that link. So the error message indicates that we need to have the SAC client installed. So I'll go back and I'll go to the downloads link here, and I will download the client. and get that installed. So I'll click save, and so save the client and click close. I need to have administrative rights to install the client on this machine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to toggle between the admin, assuming that in this case this user doesn't have admin rights. So I'll need to log in as the administrator, get that the client installed, then go back and proceed with the enrollment of the token. Okay, so I'll just change users real quick here. Okay, I'm back to the administrator here. Okay, let's get the client installed. Okay, so I'll click finish. Notice the icon at the bottom right becomes visible as part of this installation. So click finish. Restart is required here, so I'll do a graceful restart of this machine. So we have the SAC installed for the end user, and I logged in as the end user here. So what we want to do now is just going through the internet options and security options that would allow ActiveX to run with no issues. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add this domain. In this case, this is the SAM Manager URL as a trusted site, as well as just lower, in this case, reduce the settings here, or security settings for this demonstration, and make sure that we have a browser that is not returning as many errors or as many warnings. Okay, so we do have the smart card portal, in this case the SafeNet Self-Service Center portal, that would allow an end user to enroll a new smart card. So I have a smart card inside in my reader, and I've received a new card, assuming I'm a new user. I would click on enroll token, and then follow the enrollment process to enroll a new token, connect a new token, and then click start. And you get prompted that the token content will be deleted. Again, this is the initialization process here, so I'll just click yes to continue, and it will ask me or prompt me for a token password. So I'll create a password and hit submit. Return to menu. Is it doing this? Enter token password. I'm sorry, I had entered the wrong password, so I'm now going to give this call it my smart user smart card user 1. So I'll click submit. So now initializing a token for myself as an end user. So I received a brand new card and I'm initializing it for myself. Then I will use it to log in and onto my machine if needed. Okay, so that's running. Okay, so that's successfully done here. So we do have a token that's successfully provisioned. If I go back to the SAM SafeNet Authentication Manager portal, I will just click on enroll here. That refreshed and then just click go. Refresh this page. I did not refresh it earlier, so now I've refreshed it. So you notice that Smart Card User 1 has provisioned the token to the smart card, and that's enabled. So going back to the self-service center for the smart card user, you do have the various options available here. You are able to enroll a virtual token. For example, if I lose my if I left my smart card at home or my token at home, or it's in my bag somewhere, if I'm in transit and I need to create a token, I'm able to do that here. I'll just click on that and it will prompt me to go through the process for creating a virtual token. So I'll click start. It will ask me or prompt me for a virtual token password. So I will give it a password here. Want me to confirm the password that I'm creating here, and I hit submit. Then I will just say my V token. So now I do have a virtual token created as well. So you notice here I do have that virtual token there, and I do have my token that's associated with my user code. I can only use one at a time, and you could set parameters where the virtual token expires within 24 hours, and that will be done on the SAM portal right here. Okay, so that completes this exercise of showing how to enroll a token, both from a help desk perspective as well as an end user. So now I'd like to log into my machine using my smart card. So I would go here to the portal, and then I do have my card inside it, and I'll need to put in my PIN. And it will go through the authentication to verify that it's my that the PIN is correct, and I'm able to now log into my machine with my smart card. Okay, so if I go to start here and I click on my SAC tool, which is the client. You actually use this balloon here, that works much better. So notice earlier we did create two tokens. You have the virtual token here, and you have the token that resides on the card itself. So if I click on view token, I can see all the options here. This is the hardware. This is the physical token. If I go to the advanced menu options, I can see the certificate. I could see the certificate that was created, and I could also see the two tokens. One, I do have the virtual token here that we created earlier, and the certificate that's associated with it. It's the same certificate. So if I can verify that, that's 008. well, they're different certificates, so certificate serial numbers. So we have this serial number here ending with a C, and the one we saw earlier ends with a D. So we can confirm we do have a token created. We also have a virtual token created as well. So that concludes this exercise.